All right, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of sort of forgot I started the stream, but I think that was it was almost like 5 minutes. My bad. Um, Finally made it to Friday. Oh my goodness. Let me see. I'm gonna turn my mic up too. Wait. My volume is up. All right, so I don't know if this is loud enough, but actually I had a busy morning, and I had a few meetings this morning, but I think pretty much I'm trying to see if I got any follow up things I have to do this afternoon. I have one more meeting at 5. That I was supposed to have at 2. I kind of missed it, so I pushed it till, or she was able to push it to later. So that's at 5. I know she for sure needs to meet, so but it'll probably be like 30 minutes. So I was going to stream until 5. So I might possibly consider leaving the house. Let me see. Let me look at my calendar again. What's happening next week? That's the question. All right, she got to do that in the morning. Need to check that out. The Lions play on Sunday. Let me see. Okay, I got a meeting at 11 on Monday. I think I just need to mentally prepare for this one. Oh, you know what? I need to look into this software. Okay, so I need to do a little research for this meeting. I still had this one job application I wanted to put in, but I'm still I haven't just sat down and like wrote the cover letter. Because I do think if I typically will write a cover letter if I'm serious about a job. If I don't think it's a good idea for me to skip it, even though I technically could. Hey Dookie, welcome in. Going somewhere. This is just actually what I was wearing today. But I have to change. I do plan on leaving out, but I will have to change if I left out, because I put on a skirt and it's not cold, but we coming off the summer and it's like 71 and wind. Thing about Detroit is the wind chill. So even though it's 71 outside, it's like it feels kind of chilly. So yeah, I'll probably have to put some pants on. Which would probably, trying to figure out. I think I got some burgundy pants I could put on. I kind of still want to wear the shirt. I like the fall colors anyway. Yeah, I'm ready to chill for the weekend though. So, let me see. I'm just trying to figure out what do I need to do with my time for the last hour that I'm about to realistically work today. Unless I get some type of inspiration later, I'm not coming back to my computer after 5:30. So, maybe not for the whole weekend. I don't know. Maybe to stream, but I got a couple like work things that I know is gonna come up next week, so I probably should get ahead of those, because I have a meeting like at 11 a.m. on Monday. I want to do a little bit of research for that meeting beforehand, because it is a mission critical conversation for my life. Let me see. Wednesday. Oh, I have a collab stream. I'm going on another channel on Wednesday next week on the 11th at 1. I need to put some info in like the Discord too, but I sent them a headshot so that they can make some graphics, but let me check on that. I don't think they followed up just yet with it, so I need to just put the details in put the details out there. But it's gonna be on Nova. What is it? I always mix it up. Nova building stuff. Oh yeah, that's the one. Um, so basically, uh, the there is a show called Nova. It's like a documentary, I think, but it's on PBS. But the company that produces the studio that produces the show, and a bunch of other like PBS shows, they started a Twitch channel, and they're trying to like they're just bringing different people in to cover different aspects of tech. So I think they haven't actually had someone cover like coding in depth yet. So that's what we're going to do next week. It's going to be like a machine learning it'll be a machine learning project. So that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. But it's going to be on their channel. You got a lot on your schedule. I literally always have a lot on my schedule. Just I know you probably know that by now. Neo, hello, how are you? Neo Trinity 96. I've been watching The Matrix. I've been watching like The Matrix and Terminator, like science fiction, AI takes over the world type stuff lately. Probably because I've been doing a lot of machine learning and people think AI is gonna take over the world. I accidentally watched all the Terminator movies though. I feel like we haven't talked about movies in a minute. I accidentally watched all the Terminator movies. I didn't realize how many there were. And I also didn't mean to like binge watch them. It was like a weekend where I was just not feeling it. And then I was like, oh, let me just watch a movie. And I watched the Terminator. I think I watched the Terminator, the first one on YouTube because they had it in like the YouTube movie section. So I watched that. And then when I was trying to watch the second one, I didn't even realize that I took like a stack of DVDs from my sister because she moved to Texas. So, she left a stack. I took it, I brought it to my house. It's okay. But she had a stack of DVDs and she literally had the whole Terminator series in there. So I was sitting there looking for the second one, and then I looked down like, oh, it was literally sitting in front of my TV too. I'm like, oh, I got the whole Terminator series right here. So then I just put number 2 in. And then I was curious. Oh, yeah, then I was curious and I kind of got into it. So then I just kept watching them until I was out of DVDs. And then by that point, it was the end of the weekend. So Terminator 2 is the best one. Terminator 2, I feel like Terminator 1 is classic, but Terminator 2 is like iconic. That's how I would describe it. Because like Terminator 1 is like obviously, yes, in so many ways. And it was the first time that they were doing it, so you have to give them credit for that part too. But 2, what's his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger came out to like Bad to the Bone. He came out to like Bad to the Bone. I'm like, oh my god. I know they was probably turned in the theaters when that came on, but it just was funny to me. So I was like, Terminator 2 was just, I don't know, it is up there to me. I would pick 2 over 1, but 1 definitely set the stage for 2. And then 2 had the new, what was the other Terminator called? I literally watched all these movies. Terminator 2. The T-1000. Yeah. Like that's all I remember from Terminator back in the day. Like when we was younger, all I remember is the T-1000. Robert Patrick, he played the Terminator in Terminator 2. That stuck with me my entire life. He was so creepy. Build a robot. I probably will build some robots though. Not even lying. I wanna start programming some AI into robots. I swear I'm not contributing to the AI apocalypse. I feel like that. So this is one of the reasons why I have been going back and watching these movies though, because I don't know, even though obviously it's fiction, but the whole like the themes and that they're talking about in the movies, the points they were trying to make as well, it kind of helps me to continue to be in that mindset of like, let's be, because you get so excited building stuff, and in the second Terminator, I don't know. If it's spoilers by now, I apologize. But that movie came out so long ago. In the second Terminator, they found the guy who actually created Skynet, and but he hadn't officially finished the project, but yeah, like it's just a like an engineer who found like he's just excited, and like he really think it's gonna change the world. And he talked about how imagine airplanes that could never have like a drunk pilot, and always landed perfectly. Like that was his vision of what he was building. And then Skynet, I mean, in the movies, basically Skynet just goes Skynet becomes sentient or whatever, and self-aware, and then just decides that humans are like not it. So it happens rather quickly. I haven't watched iRobot recently, and I think I found a DVD of iRobot at the thrift store, like just off a fluke. I haven't watched iRobot in years because my brothers were like obsessed with it. Like one of my brothers was obsessed with iRobot, so we watched it over and over and over. Funny story. And then for the record, my other brother was obsessed with the Cat in the Hat movie, the live action one at that time, and they watched that over and over. So I happened to find both of them at the thrift store. And I just thought about trauma, but I do want to watch it. iRobot it's more advanced, right? Because in iRobot it's like you already have artificial intelligence. You have like actual androids or whatever they were calling them, but they start to become self-aware and make their own choices. And then it's like, well, do we just treat them as machines? Do we treat them as a human, or whatever? That's like the premise of iRobot. So I do want to watch that one. I'm like, my brothers made me watch that movie so many times. It's crazy. Watch Wall-E. Okay, I'm gonna take that into consideration. I learn front end first or back end? I learned front end first. I learned front end by taking workshops and like doing like online classes, like online material. I was very serious about my learnings when I was doing front end, because I was just doing like little part-time things. But like if I got into a course, for example, I was actually in the course, like I would follow the materials that they was telling us to do. I took this one workshop. I was working for what became a coding boot camp ultimately. But at the time, they just did workshops, like coding workshops. And I took like one of the classes because I could take classes for free while I was working there. And I took this HTML and CSS and JavaScript class. And but I was like the only person in the class that was actually doing all the work, and I still was like a student and I had a job and all that. But I used to go to class like 2 nights a week. And that's where I learned like JavaScript. That's where I learned like jQuery and how to do DOM manipulation, that kind of stuff. We did not have frameworks back then, which kind of make me sound old, but I started learning like front end development probably around 2014ish. 2014, late 2014, 2015. And then I wanted to do full stack. I did a little bit like of freelancing. Then I wanted to be full stack. We also didn't have a such thing as like front end, like full stack JavaScript back then. So I had to learn another language on the back end. So I had to learn Java. I took a Java boot camp because after a while, I really was like, I could have probably self-studied, but I just felt like I needed more discipline. So even though I had some experience in coding, then I took the Java boot camp. When I did that, afterwards I taught for a little bit at the coding boot camp that I was originally at, and then like did some program management, and then I just did full stack engineering. So I did like full stack engineering for an agency. where we pretty much just wrote like we did like small to medium projects for different companies that either their dev team was already at capacity or they didn't really have a dev team. They might be some that just basically go and get technical work done whenever they need it. So we had like a bunch of different clients. So in that role, I technically was Ruby on Rails. um I haven't touched Ruby in like a long time. I was in Ruby on Rails though, even though I came out of a Java boot camp, because a lot of skills is all transferable. So I like our main full stack was Rails, and then but we also did projects in other languages because it really was up to the client. It's just we preferred Rails. So we also had like WordPress stuff. We had like some custom like PHP WordPress. We had like a really nasty JavaScript project. Like the JavaScript was just it was just a lot of it, and we didn't have a framework. We didn't have framework. So anyways, okay, so then after that, after that, I worked for a startup that basically have like a matching. They have like a matching platform between companies and people who want to work for those companies potentially. It's like a job matching platform. But this was like 2017 or something. So, but anyways, I worked on full stack for them. Their project was in PHP, but the framework was Laravel. I did like Laravel, but I hate PHP. Um, After that, I did a fellowship, and in my fellowship, I ended up matching with a company, and we did vehicle connectivity software. So at first, I started out on the API team because I was more so already experienced in backend and API development. But over time, I actually transferred to um, our IoT team. I don't really put IoT on my resume. I don't know why. I just feel like I played one on the, when they like, oh, I played one on TV. That's kind of how I feel about IoT. But it was fun. It was interesting. Um, I was on the API. I was on the API team, which made like a developer facing product. And then I basically switched to the other end of the platform, which was the connector that basically brings all the vehicle data in and out, all the telemetry. So that was fun, and I never would have thought I would do that. And now I pretty much I teach. Also, I've been teaching the entire time that I've been in the field, but right now I do have some programs that I run that I teach. We're about to do the free code camp boot camp, y'all. I am going to get the stuff together because I want to announce it and have it available whenever I do the collab stream next week. So that's coming, but I'm going to do a free code camp boot camp. So basically a free boot camp based on the free code camp curriculum. We're going to start with full stack, and then I'll probably just, but like throughout the year 2025, I'll probably be teaching through the free code camp curriculum. So I will give y'all more info on that. But I do want to say it because it's like I'm working on it in the background, but I just haven't, like, I don't have all the materials that I need to put out, like, to promote it. I used to work as front end, but struggling a lot in back end, especially Java and Spring, because you also need to know database leak. Yeah. So when you say you're struggling on the back end, is it for interviews or do you already have a role? Let me see. When I transition from the front end to the back end, my gap, like my I don't know, my gap filler is teaching. That's my personal gap filler, and I think that made a difference when I was actually trying to get like my first full stack job. But as far as like technical skills, I don't know. I found that I still had a lot to learn when I learned back end. Like when I was doing front end at first, like I felt pretty confident in it by then. So it was almost like, okay, great. Like I got this code thing figured out. And then I actually went to try to learn some back end, and then I went and actually did a boot camp. And yeah, I was like, there was still so much more to learn basically about software than just like front end. And I also felt like, at least at the time, front end development, like we didn't have a lot of actual programmer heavy type of like work compared to back end. It was almost like as long as you knew jQuery on the front end, you pretty much were good. A lot of people didn't actually write vanilla JavaScripts, even though we used it. Like they weren't writing all their own like calls to the DOM and things like that. Everybody was just basically using jQuery. But then at the same time, a lot of JavaScript developers who might have went through that path, would have less experience with like using classes and like formal structures and code, because JavaScript, it's the wild wild west. You can do whatever you want. So I don't know, but when it comes to like interviews, yeah, it's different. It's different. You need to actually have yourself. I used to have like practice questions. And also when I went through a boot camp, like we had like formal interview prep and interview training for like folks. I need to start doing prep though, because I haven't really done any independently. Um but yeah, so interview prep, like mock interviews and things like that, are good to have. I'm not as familiar with Leak Code. I can't really lie, because it, we did have some forms of like we had some forms of challenges when I was coming up, and it wasn't Leak Code. It was like a different platform that was popular at the time that they would use, and I can't think of the name of it now. But I know a lot of times, like the issues that some people are having when they aren't really have like when they're struggling with like Leak Code or these like online coding assessments. Um, one of the common gaps that you could be facing is data structures and algorithms. Like just depends on where how you got your knowledge. A lot of times coming from the front end, you would not have data structures and algorithms experience, and even if you do back end, you probably have like some surface level experience of it. And usually like those programmatic like coding platforms is checking these like common skill sets. They, like I don't know, for me I felt like I kind of got away with not really knowing data structures and algorithms like in depth when I was first starting out, just because I didn't work on platforms where it mattered that much. Like we were like not at like some extravagant scale, so we had like a good decent code base and things like that, but we didn't have to worry about like optimizing having millions of users on the site at the time. So when it comes to like bigger tech companies who really kind of more so normalized it, they do care about like data structures and algorithms and how you can apply those in different cases. And I think when I was first looking at all those coding assessments, I didn't really see it that way because I don't have a computer science degree. Like I don't have a computer science background. I noticed this when I was in my last like full-time software role, because I was on at a high tech company working with a lot of engineers, like come that like a lot of computer science grads basically. So sometimes I like they knew like design patterns and different like algorithms or data structures just like by seeing what it was, and I would be looking at some code like, why did they write it like this? I don't know, it's just interesting. So I just would say that like that's one thing to consider if like you're trying to figure out like the Leak Code things and stuff like that. At the very least, the preliminary is before you even start there, having the data structures and algorithms core. I know some people that's not something that they have, so I want to put that one out there first. But then you also have like it's different layers to it. So you can also find that even if you do have to do Leak Code, um, still knowing the concepts makes sense. Actually, how about we do this? I wonder how much I can see. I don't really want to be on this browser though. Let me see. Hold on. Let me try this one more time. Okay, that should be fine. 6:15. Okay, I'm just gonna let it happen. Let me see. do that, and then let's go with this one right here. Okay, but don't show my email. All right. What to say? It's no use in me talking in hypotheticals if I could just actually pull it up and look at it. Did you use Netflix OSS? I didn't. We did have Java microservices for like the vehicle connectivity stuff because it's like um you kind of need to build something that was like ready for scale immediately. So we had a lot of them though, like but we use Spring Boot. Um, some teams use different things based because it was microservices based. Some teams could get away with having like slightly different tech stacks. But we use Spring Boot. Um, I used a lot of different tools when I was on the vehicle, when I was actually on the connectivity side. When I was on the API side, it was just microservices. And then we did test driven development. Like, we're very, very religious about the TDD. So, and in my office, we had a heavy pair programming culture. So, I like almost exclusively worked in a pairing environment, test driven pairing environment for like that, 2 or 3 years. Um, which also, that's a whole experience. But do I like writing test cases? I do. I don't like writing test cases because what I learned when I actually worked in an environment with legitimately like where you had to test. Testing is actually really hard. Like testing like a little small piece of code is relatively easy, but like sometimes you have to test different like object types and different formats and test across different services and stuff like that. And that's what I learned a lot of in that environment. I thought like, oh, I can red green test. Like I thought I was sweet, but I was not. um, but it was good. I was in a pairing environment, so a lot of the other people that were around me, they all had previously come from like a TDD pairing environment. Um, some of them had worked together in like a previous company, so it was at least a like more easy like on ramp. I think if I would have been stuck trying to write tests like by myself all the time, like I said, especially for like you trying to test across services and all that kind of stuff, we wrote like canary tests and all kind of tests. Yeah, and you can't write any code until you write a test. That's TDD. So literally testing is the first thing you do. You have to write a test. The test has to fail, and then you can write the code, and you should only write the code to make the test pass. But I would say, even though I don't like writing test cases, I love TDD because in all of my time in software, the time I felt most confident to write code was when I was doing TDD, because you have like a huge level of like reassurance that anything you did right didn't break anything, because there's an existing you know there's an existing test suite. So yeah, you literally know you can't write code until you write a test. And if you do write some code and you start failing tests, then you know what I mean, that you broke something right then and there before you like ever push it out there or even have to show anybody else. So I don't know, something about that actually made me a lot more confident in coding, because when I was seeing all these like different advanced like patterns and things that I wasn't necessarily exposed to, I felt like I didn't have to worry too much about like getting something wrong as I was learning. But it was a good experience overall. We didn't use Netflix OSS. What is that for anyway? It probably didn't exist at the time, or I don't know. They probably been around for a minute. 2015. Yeah, I guess so. But no, we didn't use data persistence security user interface. I don't think so. I don't know. I could be wrong. But like on my team, we had probably like, I don't know how many people we had. I was like in the first 100 hires, but maybe, I don't know, maybe 200. But the thing about our company was it was very, very engineering heavy. So there was a huge, like, proportionally, there was a huge number of like product teams, and we were like pretty small teams. So we all basically had our own tech stacks ultimately. Like we had some like core across the company, like what the standards were, but um because it was microservices, they weren't as like they weren't as rigid with, like, if people could basically give a valid reason why they wanted to use something else, then they would probably not really complain, as long as it wasn't, a liability in some form. Then they kind of let us be with what we wanted to build in. So like we started using Kotlin, because Kotlin and Java are pretty interchangeable, and one of our team members was like really into Kotlin, so we started using Kotlin. Do I know Kotlin? No, I did not know Kotlin. I got two Kotlin books on my shelf back there. One or two. That burgundy one. So that's a data structures and algorithms. I can't even read it, but I could tell that's a Kotlin, and that's a, I don't know. Is that one the Kotlin too? That one might be another publisher, but it's a Kotlin. And I think that's the O'Reilly one. JavaScript and TypeScript. I am trying to get better with my TypeScript. Basically, after I left that company, I pretty much didn't like, in that company. My big issue was like, I hate Java, so that's one thing. But I was willing to work on Java. I didn't mind, but I still really wanted to get into AI, and ultimately, even though that company was, I think, originally intended to get into AI, that was not the space that they were in at the time. So I was spending a lot of time, like during the day, I'm writing Java and trying to learn Kotlin, and we were doing vehicle connect, like IoT. So like I was learning about message brokers and TLS handshakes and all this other kind of stuff. And then at night I was like streaming, trying to do JavaScript projects and like Python projects. So I was like overwhelmed after a while. Like mentally, my brain was like, yeah, neither. I can't do both. So that's the only reason that I didn't keep working there, because I actually was enjoying what I was doing, but I just really wanted to get into machine learning. But I also, at the time, the first thing I did was kind of like go back into JavaScript and get more foundations in JavaScript. I do a lot of my personal projects, or my own like contract work that I might get into. A lot of that would be in JavaScript, and I also teach JavaScript. So that's a language that I try to keep fresh on. When I was doing all those years of back end, like I got kind of rusty. So I don't know, but I still feel like after like maybe a few years of trying to get back into it, I still feel rusty. I probably don't build enough stuff in JavaScript right now. Let me see what I got on here. I got a Python and a React book back there. The React book probably so so outdated already, but and I got this Software Developers Guide to Machine Learning or something like that. Machine Learning for Software Developers. I like O'Reilly books. For someone who just likes building, do you suggest to explore AI and ML? I think these require a lot of thinking and math. With AI and machine learning, it doesn't necessarily require like a lot of math. And it depends on what you mean by a lot of thinking, but it doesn't require it, only because nowadays we are at a point where you have like frameworks and libraries that can actually handle the technical side of the machine learning, right? Like you can already use like predetermined algorithms, predetermined training patterns and things like that, depending on different use cases that you want to apply it to, different types of data and different types of outcomes that you want to predict. So that actually allows you to kind of get into it and start to apply it to different use cases. If you have like some programming experience and you're confident in your programming, like in your programming language, then it's something that you could actually get into. And then if you want to, I was gonna say at a higher level, you can also understand like the different use cases, the different training styles, the different like system kind of design patterns, um, the different, what was I gonna say, like development pipelines, because software and machine learning pipelines are just very very different. But you can learn about like those like high level concepts, and then you can use like um, at this point like Google Cloud Platform, for example. They have like you can do a lot of stuff just by configuration. You would never have to write like really a lick of code. So like for example, with an MVP that I just did recently, I did it all in AutoML because I already knew that I could actually just go through the process of running, just using AutoML to prove out the use case rather than me sitting here having to code the entire like implementation from scratch. Uh, and then you can actually deploy it and things like that very easily. So you do have like even like the top layer of, if you just know some of the concepts and use like the existing tooling, then you don't necessarily have to write any code at all to like apply AI to some use cases. I think that's very very builder friendly. And also I will look into, if you're interested from a builder perspective, I think agents, AI agents are interesting. But it depends on, you know, what, like how deep you like to get into the building part. But to me, like you can figure out a problem and solve a problem and build something to like actually like address, build an actual solution that's AI based. Now, is it gonna take you to the moon? Not necessarily, but then that way, if you want to start to get into like deeper layers of it, you want to start to write like really customize how your model is trained and things like that, then that's when you can start to peek into the libraries, and then from there you can start to actually dig into like the algorithms that goes into it. And then if you really wanted to dig in under there, then that's where the math comes in. That's like linear algebra, diffie-q, all that kind of stuff. I'm a math nerd, so I actually am excited about that part. um, but I'm taking like a top down approach because to me, in my teaching philosophy, I think that that's like the one of the most effective strategies to go to yeah, I think that's one of the most effective strategies to use. So that's like what I'm doing right now. I just did a project. Well, I'm still working on it, but I had to finish an MVP, and now I'm trying to learn a completely different training style and model type. You have a data set, but you need some creative thinking to measure and apply the ML algorithms to different parameters. Yes, that's exactly it, to get good results. Yep. And it's something that you have to iterate on as well. So even when you do like build those initial models, usually regardless of how whether it was somebody that did it and just configuring it on the cloud, or whether it's somebody that actually literally wrote the model from scratch and trained it all the way up on every single piece of data, regardless, uh, it takes tweaking and really understanding the data and iterating on, like, you know, like you said, tuning those parameters, figuring out which parameters are actually contributing to like better outcomes in the predictions, and minimizing obviously like the false positives. So that's the science part of it. So like I said, even if it's at a higher level, like when I did the MVP that I trained like through Google Auto ML, I still have the ability to play around with different amounts of the data. That's actually why I went with that approach, so I can actually play with the data and play with the model. So it's easier for me to tweak and tune parameters that are just like configurations in the cloud, or feed it different types of data sets, feed it different versions of data sets, things like that. So if you just want to, like I said, get into like solving a problem, and just working on that and kind of improving on that, yeah, you still wouldn't have to know you wouldn't have to know like hardcore math or anything like that. Now, if you want to get into research, yeah, you should have like the math background. That's what I'm trying to do. Well, that's not what I'm trying to do. That's what I am doing. That's like basically my goal for like the next few years. Because by the time I have a 2 year old, like by the time he starts kindergarten, I want to start a PhD program. So, um, in the meantime, I'm kind of like building up to that. So I can do AI research and then eventually teach in the academic setting. So I do stuff like read research papers because I do try to understand like some of the underlying concepts that are happening right now. It's a very quick moving space, but and you kind of have to narrow in on what particular type of machine learning that you're interested in. Like I like natural language processing, so like all the generative AI stuff, that was right up my alley because I've always been into natural language processing. Um, I had like a few ideas that I wanted to build that are so easy to build right now that would have taken like so much work to build even like a few years ago just due to like the advancements in generative AI. And then back in like 2017, 2018, myself and two of my other like co-founders, we ran a program called TrainX. It was called TrainX. TrainX was basically like it was like an AI machine. It was like a machine learning development like program. So we were basically teaching folks who already had some programming experience how to get their data, clean their data, train their model, and deploy it. And we didn't have all the tools we have now, but they learned some really good skills. But yeah, we did that like way back then. So I've also been, I just been paying attention to it for a long time. And back then they did like a rap bot project. So they were like trying to combine like different rap style, like different artist styles into one. But we didn't have I think Transformers, the concept of a transformer literally just came out. Like that original research paper just came out like the same timing that we were teaching that class. So yeah, there was no such thing as a transformer. It was like LSTMs back then. So the bots were not, it was like hard to train them on smaller amounts of data, and they were not coherent even then. And it was really hard to train on your own hardware. Like we just happened to be able to do a lot of training because like my co-founder, he has like a tech business, but he's like into servers, so he actually had servers we could run our machine learning jobs on and stuff like that. So that was like a barrier back then, and now you could just run it in the cloud, which is crazy. Or you could just use an API, use a LLM API. I've been following OpenAI for a long time, like since they started. So yeah, it's like a lot of the stuff that they've been working on, that's been going on for a long time. But obviously it blew up after the whole ChatGPT thing. But even like generative AI, that's still such a sliver. That's what I like about AI. Like with AI, there's so many different disciplines that you can go into. There's so many different like ways that you can apply data, and there's still a lot to learn. So and I think that one of the biggest things with AI is every time we create a new solution, we create some like corresponding problems, challenges I should say, that we have to consider, like even if it's about safety mechanisms, or even if it's about data privacy, right? Like there's always other challenges that's coming up with those new innovations, and even that is a space to be in and of itself. So I've even considered like research wise, if I'm interested in some of like solving some of the problems that like are introduced into the LLM space, for example. And then I always had an interest of working on like automotive, applying AI to automotive. Original, like the automotive company. I mean, the only automotive company that I actually worked for, I thought I was going to be applying AI to automotive. But they ended up realizing that they before they could even get to the AI part, they had to actually build the connectivity part. So that's where they ended up specializing. But yeah, so I want to. I'm interested in like engine diagnostics. Like I worked in the engine diagnostics lab when I was a mechanical engineering student. Um, and I always like I wanted to do some like AI project around that, like predictive failures for engines or something like that. So I don't know. And then I mean, as much as I have tried to avoid automotive, I live in Michigan, and here, like, automotive is like one of our, if not our biggest leading industry. So everybody knows somebody that works in automotive in one way, shape, or form. And now, like, the big thing is mobility. Like, there's a lot of push for mobility, like solutions, mobility startups. And that's an interesting space for me as well. So currently, I'm working on a project where we are handling EV charging data. So that's in the mobility space. Um, and I technically the other company I was working for last year, they're in the mobility space too. It's a delivery though, beauty supply store delivery like service, which is also still under mobility. Um, so those are a couple things I'm interested in, but I'm exploring like research wise because there's so many things I probably haven't even had exposure to. Um, so one thing I need to at least do a little bit of like maybe pet projects around is like computer vision, because I don't really see myself getting into computer vision, but I also haven't tried it, so I probably should try it. Um, explore something in security space. I do want to get into cybersecurity. It's just I can't learn cyber and ML at the same time. I was supposed to been did like an ML certification been, but I working on that this year. That's crazy. This year been so long. I've done so many strings. I was working on the cybersecurity, like the Google, I think it's Google cybersecurity certificate earlier this year, but based on everything else that I had going on, but I had to table the cybersecurity thing. But I do need to prioritize it at some point. And for me, like I think I at least the type of work that I'm doing, the type of advising I'm doing, the type of like roles I'm trying to shift into, I at least need to have like my own fundamental understanding of cybersecurity. Um, at least like I need a basic certification at the very least. Like I need to understand at least some junior level like cybersecurity. Um, at the very, very, very least. What would that take? I don't know off the top of my head, but it's definitely on my back burner. Trying to think, when can I circle back around to it? I hadn't thought about it for a minute. There will be copyright issues with the music. Um, if you are referring to my music, we're listening to AI music right now. We're listening to like Moobert, the Moobert stream thing. Stream. They have like a stream service. Oh, the rap bot. There would be copyright issues with the music. I think this was just like a little small like test project. It was just like basically them actually building a little portfolio piece. Also, at that time, you wouldn't have the bot wouldn't have been coherent enough for you to even know it. For anybody to even recognize, like it's not like how it is now where they literally got the voices sounding just like them and everything. It was not like that. It was just basically, it was like feeding in a bunch of text and then just trying to predict or spit out like trying to read. I don't know, how would they describe, I don't know. It was just bad. That's cuz like generative AI is like, I'm is predicting the sequence of characters. But like in LSTM, it was like trying to remember like the order that a word most likely comes in, I think. I don't remember. Let me stop. Because I'm probably making that up. Um, but yeah, the whole mechanism that it uses to remember words was like, or to remember like a stream of thought was just, it was still a struggle. So it was very hard to get a coherent sentence. And typically at that time, those were popular projects at the time, by the way, to like one of the most popular like things that somebody would do would be like take like all the Harry Potter books and then like train a model that can, write in that style. But that worked because you had like um you were like combining the same writing style together from the same author. But when we tried to combine the styles of their completely different artists, it was like completely incoherent at like smaller sets of data. But yeah, and also nobody was like, oh, this is a copyright infringement. Like back then we couldn't even get that close. But nowadays, yeah. And I was spending some time, especially last year, I was spending a lot of time keeping up with the like the overall like legal like all the legal work that's being done around machine learning and all the policy. There was like a lot of policy meetings, and I don't know, at this point we got some stuff on the books probably that I just haven't really spent time on. I need to go back to that. I'm gonna be focusing more on machine learning. Like personally, I need to work on. I have a project that I'm working on. And then if that slows down, then I actually have my own personal project I'm going to be building on. So that will be coming back. But y'all know I was like completely underwater for the summer with running the Hacker House. Like I really was completely swamped with everything else that was going on outside of that. But now that I have a little bit more like freedom in my schedule again, I need to be focused on building some stuff. Hashing. I don't have like a huge amount of experience with hashing, even though no, I always was able to like probably get away with using the library or something. So but yeah, that was probably when I was doing the actual vehicle connectivity, like IoT stuff, because we were maintaining the connection with the vehicle and we had to like secure the telemetry that was being transferred into the platform and out of the platform. But even then, somebody else probably implemented the whole like system that was like hashing passwords and stuff. But I probably wrote code on it. I'm like 99 to 100% sure I wrote code on a hashing microservice. I would have had to. We had one. Oh, it's 5 o'clock. Okay, that's good timing on the that's good timing on the music. But yeah, I have a meeting right now actually. No, did she say 5 or 5:30? Let me see. Pretty sure she said 5. Okay. So let me see. I am gonna put like Discord here and it bet not respond. Oh, there it is. I'll put it in YouTube too. But on YouTube, if you need Discord, you can just go to the about section on like the channel page, and then you will be able to find it there. But yeah, it was good talking to you. I'm typically like live every day. I'm actually trying to get back to my daily streams. All up until I started running Hacker House in the summer, I was going live every single day. So we're getting back to that. I should be back tomorrow, and I always have stuff to work on. So I'll see y'all then. I'll probably be here in the morning actually, so I can work on the free code camp boot camp. Because I really want to launch that. I know a lot of people could benefit from that program. All right, let me see. Oh, dang, I don't got my phone. Um, that's childish if I just go get my phone. I don't have no phones. Command shift for let's just do this. Okay, I took a screenshot. All right, but yes, I will see y'all tomorrow. Or just message me in Discord. Also Instagram. I'm usually on Instagram, y'all. I'm MetaDev Girl on Instagram as well. All right, happy Friday. Bye.